That's the goal. Foden nearly scoring. Haaland even closer. Alvarez 1-0. Gundogan, he's got goal side again. Another terrific run. Foden, Haaland, 2-0. Well, they couldn't get that second goal at the City ground last week, but they've done it here. 29th minute, 2-0. Oh, Billing, straight to Foden. 3. That's the way to celebrate 200 games as a Blue. A goal for Phil Foden and 3 points surely for City. Terrifically taken. Mistake by Billing, pounced upon by Phil Foden. Not cleared it. Alvarez, 4. It's only taken 6 minutes of the second half. Well, it might go down as a Mephamone goal, but either way, it is 4-0 to the Blues. Stretched a little bit here. Oh, Lerma! No clean sheet. Edison will stay on 99. But it won't change the outcome of the game. The Blues are again in touching distance of Arsenal.
There is nothing like an FA Cup game away to lower league opposition. And Ashton Gate will be rocking this evening. Welcome to Matchday Live. Thank you for joining us for the first ever meeting between Bristol City and Manchester City in the FA Cup. Our most recent encounter was the 2018 League Cup semi-final, where City won 5-3 on aggregate. Now, I've got some incredible stats for you. You're going to love these. We've won our last 12 FA Cup matches against sides from a lower division by an aggregate score of 42-8. We've also won our last 10 away games in the FA Cup, which is the longest away winning run by any team in the history of the FA Cup. So hopefully we are going to make that 11 this evening. I'll be giving you the team news the second that we are allowed to. And perhaps tonight some people will get the opportunity to get some time in those legs and put a case forward for a starting slot in what will be another exciting run-in for the Blues. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on Matchday Live. I'm Natalie Pike, and joining me in the studio for this FA Cup game is Esme Morgan and Nedum. Welcome to both of you. We'll give you the team news the second that we are allowed to. So, Esme, how are you? How is the recovery going?
I'm good. It's going well. I'm hoping to be getting some minutes this weekend. So, yeah, I'm very excited for that. That was a great reaction. Thank you. You really, that just, gave me a bit of extra buzz. Yeah, I'm hoping so. So I've missed it. I've had FOMO on all the away trips. I miss all the girly chats on the team bus. So this one's at home, but I'm excited to just be back around the girls. They've been so good recently. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Spurs at home on Sunday. Yes, yeah. I'm going. Looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll be cheering you. Be lovely to see you again. Nedum, how are you, friend? Because you had a bit of a tough weekend, eh?
Yeah, it was. I was working for some other network. You know, I thought this was the only place where I work, but unfortunately, I do other stuff elsewhere. And it took me to Wembley this weekend to watch Newcastle in the League Cup. Unfortunately, they didn't win, but such is life, and I did what I had to do. But now I'm back in something a bit more friendly and familiar. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, welcome back. You're in a nice.
It's good to be back.
Environment.
It's good to be back, trust me.
Right, I can give you now that all-important team news, and I can let you know that there are 5 changes to the team that beat Bournemouth at the weekend. Your team for tonight in net, it is Ortega, Lewis, Akanji, Diaz and Ake. And then it is Calvin Phillips. Kevin De Bruyne is fit and well again, and he is captain this evening. Silva, Mahrez, Foden and Alvarez. Your substitutes for tonight: Edison, Walker, Gundogan, Haaland, Grealish, Rodri, Gomez, Peroni and Palmer. That is your City starting 11 and subs bench for tonight's game. Of course, it is the FA Cup. We face Championship side Bristol City this evening. 5 changes from the team that beat Bournemouth at the weekend. Esme, were you expecting more, less, or is that kind of what you were expecting?
Yeah, I suppose similar to what I was expecting. We were chatting earlier and I did sort of think maybe a couple more younger players, but I think it's maybe a case of waiting to hopefully get a kind of unassailable lead and then blood more of the young ones in. But I'm really excited to see Foden and Alvarez play again because I think they added a lot of energy at the weekend and just gave the attack a real spark, so I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah, could have been a toss-up perhaps at the weekend for Foden and Alvarez. Which one of them was better? Because I thought they both had good games.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think I feel we're very lucky to be in a position where they can make 5 changes and the team still look very, very strong. You know, I was looking at the team and I had to flash back to the weekend to think, well, who's coming in now? Oh, that's right, Kevin De Bruyne is coming in, for example. You know, that's a nice position to be in. But yeah, some players are really starting to round into form now, and this is the type of thing that you love to see, especially because now it's the business end of the season. You know, you've got a limited amount of games left, you've got a rough idea what it's going to be. Every game feels huge, and to be able to have the competition for places that they do have, and to know that some players like Phil are coming back into, you know, some of their best form, I think it's very exciting for what's ahead.
Yeah, looking at some of these changes specifically, obviously Ortega comes in, he's been playing all the FA Cup games. Obviously this is his opportunity, and I thought he played excellently in the Arsenal game, particularly he made a really good save. This competition is so important for him, isn't it, Nedum, in terms of keeping his, you know, giving himself a chance. And, you know, fingers crossed nothing ever happens to Edison, but this is his chance to keep playing. Yeah,
it sure is. And I think for the way that City are, you know, we could make it really simplistic and say this is the chance to just get games. But, like, they still want to win the competition. And he's being trusted to go out there and help City deliver upon that. It's not a case of this game doesn't matter. Of course it matters. But they brought him in not just because he'll just sit on the bench. They brought him in because they know that he can play. And I think, believe it or not, I actually spoke to him after the Arsenal game. And we're asking about how do you prepare for, say, playing not as regularly as, say, you'd like to. And he said for him it's all about the training, making sure you're always at your sharpest and just be ready for the opportunity. And this is what he's worked hard for, and I'm sure it'll be fantastic again today.
Some of the other changes, Esme, we've got Calvin Phillips starting. We've heard a lot of talk about him in the last couple of weeks. Pep's been speaking about him in his press conference as well. Obviously, we all know about Rodri. We all know how good he is and how he basically plays every single game. But this is a perfect opportunity to Calvin Phillips to almost, and I don't mean it disrespectfully, but just to remind everybody how good he is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's easy to sort of forget about anyone else being at the club in that position because Rodri, in my opinion, is one of, if not the best holding midfielders in the world. He's so good at what he does in just controlling the game, and he's imperative to how City play. And it is easy to forget what a brilliant player Calvin Phillips was. He was England's Player of the Year a year or so ago and was outstanding at the Euros and was obviously such a key cog in Leeds' wheel. And I think City were very, very good in sort of getting the opportunity to sign him, and I'm excited to see what he can do if he had a bit more of a run in the team because he's got so much talent and I really like his range of passing, so I'm hopeful he can sort of get a couple more minutes under his belt and really start to settle within the team because we know it usually takes people a season or so to sort of bed into City style, but once they're there I'm sure he'll be flying.
Yeah, he's had a tough start to life here as well. Obviously, he picked up that shoulder injury right at the start of the season, then had to recover for that, then went to the World Cup, then we've had that break. It's been a bit of a disjointed start for him. Are you still hoping, expecting that we're going to start to see the Calvin Phillips that we saw a few years ago?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I believe he'll find his form, and then he'll find, just like Jack Grealish, that next level, which comes with being around the players in which he is around now. And I think one thing I like about him, well, one of the many things I like about him, for as much as his range of passing is good, which I'm looking forward to seeing, he's tough as well. So say you put him in a game against Bristol City away, and he'll thrive in that, you know what I mean? You put him somewhere else where the range of passing is a big deal, he'll thrive in that. So I think it just goes to show how much of a good signing he is. And obviously he's not at the best 6-7 months in terms of how he'd like to be health-wise and selection-wise, but this is a full England international. And like I say, he's not anywhere near his best at this moment in time, and he's still pretty darn good.
And I'm so happy as well that we can bring him in and give Rodri a rest and, you know, still be assured that we are good there. I want to take a look at the goals again from Saturday. Having a little look at our attacking lineup tonight. Obviously, it's great that we've got Kevin De Bruyne back, Bernardo Silva, depending on where he plays, Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden and Julian Alvarez. We have got some creative spark in there. So Julian Alvarez, I was really impressed with him at the weekend, Esme. His work, I mean, we say it every time he plays, his work rate for the team is phenomenal, but it's also great to see him getting in these positions and scoring.
Yeah, you see there, it's just the timing of his movement. He just anticipates where the ball's going to end up and is then obviously in the right place. And as you say, we do talk so much about his work ethic because it is brilliant. The way he chases people down and hunts off the ball, I just love watching him play. And I just think he's really, really intelligent with the runs that he makes, and he ends up creating a lot of space for other people, a lot of the time unselfishly. So it's nice for him to be able to sort of get on the score sheet himself and have a bit of the glory rather than creating those opportunities for other people as he does so often.
Unselfish, I think, is a great word for him. He does really seem like that sort of player, but I totally agree. It's nice for him to get that recognition. Second goal in the game, of course, came from Erling Haaland. So Haaland is on the bench tonight, but that, Nedum, just gives an opportunity for other people.
Yeah, it sure does. You know, you'd obviously, in theory, want to see him play in every single game, but that's not the way that City work. They do rotate their players and, you know, instead just going to lead the line with their World Cup winner. That's tough times for him. So, no, he's obviously had an incredible season, and maybe he can afford to have somewhat of a rest as such, but you know, if the need is on to bring him on in this game, he'll do it, he'll be ready, because you get the feeling he doesn't just love scoring goals, he loves playing football, loves playing for this team, loves playing for this football club. So he's been a revelation. I'm absolutely delighted in terms of how well he's done, and just to know that there's more to come is even more exciting. More to come.
We cannot wait. So the third goal of the weekend came from Phil Foden. Is he back, Esme? And I mean that as in, is he back to his form that we know and we love?
Yeah, I think certainly if you take this goal as an assessment of that, absolutely. Just, we were discussing earlier his touches in the lead up to it. As he receives the ball, he just nudges it away from the defender slightly, and that sort of sharpness, I think, just absolutely proves that he's back match fit and at his creative, sort of sharp, technically brilliant best. It's just this one here, to nudge it away from the defender's outstretched leg and then finish so well. I really like watching him come off the right wing. I think tonight we'll probably see him on the left, given that Mahrez is playing, but I think coming off the right wing, Foden's outstanding.
Yeah, and as well, it's like the anticipation, because, you know, the ball that got played from Billing is obviously a very bad ball, but if you're lacking confidence, you're more so on the back foot and you don't capitalise on that. But instead, he could sort of smell the blood there, and he just decided to go in, get it, and then, yeah, what a big moment for him again.
I'm so pleased with well, because obviously in the Forest game the week before, he'd had the little slip. So great to see him getting back to his confidence. I feel like we need a Phil Foden that's up to his high standards again. The fourth goal, Nedum.
Yes.
You saw a goal that was not someone's goal at the weekend. You saw an own goal that was not given.
Hey, that one at the weekend, that one was taken away. And I suppose with this one...
That one was given to Rashford.
No, I think they took it away in the end. Yeah, took it away, rightly so. Stop the train going on there. But yeah, with this one, obviously the opportunity's come and he struck it well, but he's definitely going wide. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, you'll always celebrate the goal, but there'll be something within him who would have thought, oh, if I just kick this a bit straighter, wouldn't have needed to worry about that at all. Because the defender, he should have no business knocking that into his own goal. It's not even in the shot as the kick goes towards.
It's his goal.
Listen, I've seen strikers claim worse than that. So, yeah, listen, he'll want to try and claim that, and I'm sure Mepham would want him to take it as well. But unfortunately, it's definitely an own goal, yeah.
OK.
I think Pep would be thrilled with that goal, to be honest. Watching the highlights there, that movement where the wide player gets it and slides it to a player on the corner of the box, I can't tell you how many times we practiced that in training. They must just have it drilled into them over and over and over. But Pep will have been thrilled watching that, whether it was an own goal or not. He doesn't care who finishes that. It's all about the move.
What's it like when you have been practicing a move, or you've been doing a set piece, or you've been practicing something and it comes off in a game? Do you go in the change room and then it's like all the backroom staff just like?
Yeah, we wouldn't be too excited about it, to be honest, but we'd be shown it in analysis by Gaz for the next week, probably all proud of himself. But yeah, I think you sort of get shown these patterns that you want to work on and that they think that can take advantage of the opposition with, particularly with set pieces and stuff. So when it does come off, you do have a bit of a sense of, yeah, did well there.
I like that, yes, love that. A player we haven't talked about yet, of course, is Riyad Mahrez. I've got a lovely stat for you both. Since the start of last season, Riyad Mahrez has scored 6 goals in the FA Cup, 3 times as many as any other City player. Yeah. And here he is, just casually coming back into the team.
Yeah, so he's a Champions League guy and he's the FA Cup guy and he's the
Mr.
league
Cup
guy.
competition guy, yeah.
No, he's just the guy. Maybe he's just the guy. Perhaps he's just the guy, yeah. He's not too bad a player, is he? And it's good to see him come back into the side. You know he's going to be bringing some real quality in there. And, you know, those goals, you need them, you know, and some people maybe don't expect them to come from him, yet still he keeps doing it. And also, to mention something here, those two are obviously very close. You can see in the way that they talk.
Yeah.
Do you know what I've noticed recently? When someone switches the ball to Jack Grealish, he tries to control it on a half volley.
I think he's learning that.
I think he's trying to copy him.
Riyad's taught him.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot, you know.
Is incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, Esme, because I'm retired now. But I would never think about taking a touch on the half volley if it's a switcher play. That's not going to happen.
No, I'd try and take it on the full.
On the full, yeah, with the biggest surface area possible.
I can't claim to have the same flair as Mahrez and Grealish.
But it's the fact that they choose to do it. That's how skilled they are, that they can choose to do it and do it so well and know that, like, it's a high percentage thing to do. Because
will you describe it to us quickly, what you're talking about, so we know?
So balls coming over from whatever distance, could be 20 yards, could be 30 yards, could be 50. And for them, they let the ball bounce just a fraction before it hits their foot to control it, whether it's the outside of the foot, inside, like underneath, anything.
Yeah.
But to talk about the negative of it, if you get that wrong, it bounces over your foot. And because you're on the touchline, bounces over your foot, out for a throw-in. And if that happens, people look at you like,
what are you doing? It's risky, but when it comes off, it looks
so nice.
Beautiful.
It looks so nice, but you just wouldn't do it because you tend to be more conservative. But for these guys, their skill level's so high that it's part and parcel of how they move the ball. It's just different. What's
the benefit of doing it? Is it the players not expecting it, or
no?
I think if you get the timing right, you just kill the ball dead. So then you're ready to just dribble and drive with your next movement. Whereas sometimes if you take it fully on the volley, you've then got to take another touch to bring it down. Whereas as Mahrez just controls it on the bounce, he's just ready to run straight at them then. And
this might sound a bit boring now, and I apologise for this. I apologise to everyone out there. So when you play football, some people control the ball, some people manipulate the ball. And the ones who manipulate the ball, they're like special, because that's like a Modric type, where when the ball comes to them, it's not just a case of stop it, then move it. They've moved it and stops it at the same time, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like the first touch has taken it away from someone, or they've brought it this way to sort of suck somebody in to then go in a different direction. It's more like they've got the game like just by a string, as opposed to just doing the really simple version of like stop it, play it, stop it, play it. It's just that next level up, if you know what I mean.
So Mahrez is a manipulator of the ball.
100%, yeah. 100%.
And we now can picture Mahrez and Jack Grealish in one of their gardens.
You must see the thing which they do before the game where they're like volleying it to each other from 30 yards.
Yes, I've seen Jack and Phil do that in long ones.
Yeah, and I think Mahrez and Jack do it as well. I tried it once, didn't try it again. But yeah, that's what they're doing. It's decent, to be fair.
I really do just have this image of them now. Just, you want to come round and practice half volleys? Yeah, great. And
Would you be surprised? Would you be surprised if they were doing that?
No, I feel like they love football.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They will have balls dotted around the house and just dribble down the corridor of the mansions.
I love that. Yes, I love that. Yes, my poor kid. So you've got a tiny little garden in there, down their hallways. Love that.
Hey, use whatever space you've got.
There you go.
Oh yes, absolutely. One man left to talk about, Kevin De Bruyne, back from illness, Nedum. We've had a couple of games without him. I always get nervous. Obviously, the game at the weekend went great, but it's good to see him back fit and healthy again.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I understand the idea of being nervous because De Bruyne's not playing, but like Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan, Rodri, Phil Foden, like it's not the end of the world, you could say. But yeah, to have him back and to know that you've got somebody that experienced, it's like a safety blanket, a security blanket, because you kind of know what you're going to get. And what you're going to get is something which 99% of teams do not have. So if he plays anywhere near his best, you know that it's going to be a great game for you, not just in attack, the way he can manage the game. And I think City overall are very fortunate because, in my mind, say you've got Kevin De Bruyne, you've got Ilkay Gundogan, and obviously fantastic players, but they're also in the process of getting the coaching badges. So the way they see the game on the field is different to how most people do, because they know how to manage the moments as well as play the game at the same time. So they can organise and see what they want to see around them. And because they're doing the coaching badges, they're learning how to speak to groups of players in terms of what you need in any particular moment. So when you see those senior players out there, they're not old, they're just a bit older. When you see them out there, the game never really gets out of hand because they know level-headedly how to play it and how to talk people through it as well. So when he's back in, you know, the sky's the limit, isn't it?
Love that, the idea that the coaching, because we've seen in some of the inside cities Ilkay Gundogan doing his coaching badges, and it's so wonderful to see, but I hadn't kind of thought how that would impact the games they're playing in. So
yeah, it's huge.
Love that.
If you're, say for example, if you're a young player and you're out in the field and say something's not going quite right, the information you get from one of those two players is designed to help you get better in the situation and to be explained in a way which a coach would be able to do. Because on the sideline, you've obviously got the coach himself, but if he's also got little mini coaches and leaders on the field, they can also handle the task without having to go over to the sideline because they understand the vision of the manager, understand what's needed, because they're basically speaking the same language. So that, trust me, that makes a huge difference.
That mini peps all over.
Mini peps everywhere, yeah, exactly.
Love it. And I guess that would be really, really beneficial for a young player like Rico Lewis as well. And notice that our back four today, Esme, is the same as it was at the weekend. Like, I actually don't know if I'd love to know if that has happened all season, because I feel like we've made at least one change in defence all season.
Yeah.
That, for me, and I really like the idea of having a consistent back four.
Yeah, I think that continuity, it is quite rare what Pep does in terms of rotating the back line so often, because a lot of teams you'll see will probably have the same back four and goalkeeper 90% of Premier League games, but Pep's so hyper-focused on adapting the team to suit whichever opposition they're playing on any given day. But you look at this back four and you just think solid. Like, Rico Lewis has been brilliant this calendar year since he's come into the team, and I think we missed a lot of what Ruben Diaz offers earlier on in the season. Just as a defender, he is outstanding. His instincts with blocking shots and his positioning, for me, are just brilliant, and he maybe could have done a little bit better with the Bournemouth goal the other day, but I just think he's such a brilliant defender, and that's maybe what we've been lacking when we've been conceding goals in months gone by. But I think he's really important, and I've loved watching Nathan Ake and Akanji both this year as well. I think they've both been fantastic.
In terms of leadership on the pitch, I feel like Ruben Diaz brings something different to what Kevin De Bruyne or Ilkay Gundogan bring. It appears that he's more of a vocal, more of a, shouter, more of a passion leader, whereas it appears that De Bruyne and Gundogan are more of a sort of thoughtful, more of an intellectual leader.
Oh, hang on a second.
Okay,
this sounds anti-defender here.
Come on.
Hold on a second. So the midfielders are intellectual and the defenders are just barking out orders. Is that what she just said there? Did you catch that?
That's interesting.
That's what she said, wasn't it? Because you know there are two defenders here, yeah? So please be careful.
It's not a sweeping stereotype of defenders, and it's specific to Diaz.
It's very specific to Diaz, yes, because that is not Nathan Ake, is it?
Right.
Well, so what I would say, I'm going to try and bail you out here, okay? So from a defensive standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, you have more of the ball around you more often, especially for City when you have so much more possession. So it's very important to organise those that are around you all the time, both in and out of possession. Whereas the ones who are slightly further up the field, most of the game isn't in front of them. So you've got other things to organise around you. Like Kevin De Bruyne, if he's just in the space between the attackers and the midfielders, he's not going to be shouting to the right back to come back in, or to the left back to come back in, or to the winger to go wherever. The things directly around him are the most important. But even still, he's making movements based off that. If Phil Foden comes short, maybe he'll go long. You know what I mean? Whereas for Ruben, he's communicating with the goalkeeper, with the other centre-back, with the full-backs, with the holding midfielder, possibly with another midfielder to come back in. So there's a lot more to it. So you could say it's like barking, but he's just making sure everyone's in the right position. And defensively, the organisation is key, because the less he talks, the harder the game becomes. When everyone's in a better position, defending itself, it's not a guarantee you won't concede, but it's easier, because you know, someone's going to have to beat this person to beat that person before they get to you. But when you don't communicate well and everyone's playing individually, then that's a problem. But Kevin De Bruyne being so high up the field, even defensively, like Kevin, if he wants to go and press someone, he gets the green light from somebody playing behind him, saying, go here, go in this direction, I'll come with you. But then that midfielder goes with him, he's getting information from behind, who is Ruben Dias. So you see, when the game's in front of you, it's very different to when the game's happening elsewhere, if you get what I'm saying.
Yes, absolutely. And I should caveat as well by saying that my favourite City captain of all time is clearly Vincent Kompany. Just to put that out there. Just to make it.
Yeah, that's fine. You've said what you've said. You've said what you've said.
And also, what I didn't say as well is I like it. I like having a De Bruyne or a Gundogan, and I like having a Ruben Dias. I like having a balance of what is like what to me appears like different types of leaders.
I think every leadership style is different. I'd say even De Bruyne and Gundogan for me would be vastly different. I see Gundogan as a little bit more analytical and would kind of have quiet conversations with individuals on and off the pitch, whereas De Bruyne for me is someone who leads purely by example in how he plays, in terms of I'm going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck myself and win this for the team. I just think he's got such a powerful aura about him as a player in the team and sort of someone the opposition fear, that I think that's sort of how he carries himself as a leader, is just that almost macho, I'm going to do this for everyone. Whereas I do see Diaz as like an organiser and kind of following the tactical part of the game and getting everyone switched on and in focus, really.
Yes, I like that. I also like, one of my most favourite things as well is seeing a defender celebrate a tackle.
Oh, he loves it. Diaz is the epitome of that, honestly.
Yeah,
any tackle, he's up chest bumping people and doing all sorts.
It's just outside our existence as defenders. That's what we celebrate. Something that will not be remembered after a game. There's no highlight for it, but yeah, do you remember we made that tackle? Oh, so good, wasn't it?
I remember it, Nedum.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He's trying to join the defenders fan club now.
I'm not sure you do. It's too late now.
In the bad books here. If you would like to ask our guests any questions whatsoever, obviously use their knowledge here. Ask them whatever you would like about leadership, about defending. Let's get some defending questions in quick. The WhatsApp number is on your screen now, and as always, I will get through as many as I possibly can. And if you haven't already downloaded the City app, get that done now. You have 38 minutes until you will get commentary of tonight's game from Alistair Mann and Michael Brown. It is the only place to get your commentary. And of course as well, you get City Plus and you get Recast, where you get a whole range of incredible documentaries, products. You get to watch the games, the EDS games, the women's games live as well. So get those downloaded. So we've seen the City team news for tonight. Let's have a look now at the Bristol City team news for tonight's game. O'Leary, Tanner, Vinner, Callis, Pring, James, Williams, Scott, Sykes, Wells and Bell. That is the starting 11 for Bristol City for tonight's game. So, Bristol City currently sitting 12th in the Championship, although they are on an incredible unbeaten run at the minute. 12 games unbeaten. It stretches back until just before New Year, so they are unbeaten in 2023. Had a good win at the weekend against Hull, so they are coming into this game with quite a lot of confidence, Nedum.
Yeah, you could say that. You definitely could say that. But in the Championship, it's interesting because it's 12 games unbeaten, but they're still in mid-table in a league where lots of teams above them are dropping points. But the key in that division isn't necessarily going 10 games unbeaten. Like, you could draw 10, or you could win 5, lose 5, and you'd be on more points. And that's the thing with that division itself. I think they've drawn the second most amount of games in the division with 11. So they are good and they're tough to play against, but they're not finding ways to sort of convert that into something. Because to put it into perspective, I think Middlesbrough are in third, who've been, again, on an incredible run. And they've lost the same amount of games as Bristol have in 11th. And Middlesbrough were the form side in the whole division, whereas we don't talk about that for Bristol City in that same perspective. So they are good. They've not tasted defeat for a long time. They'll arrive in this game with sort of good confidence overall. But with some of those runs in the Championship, there's a sense of disappointment when you don't turn some of those draws into wins. So it won't be necessarily perfect and, you know, the same sort of feel that, say, if you played Middlesbrough it would be, or say like a Burnley. But they are a good side. They'll be very, very genuine. But for me, I think the upside from a City perspective is the fact they've played against a team like Bournemouth at the weekend, because there'd be more similarities between Bournemouth and Bristol than, say, we might have done if they would have played someone else in the Premier League. So I think that's the nature of what this away game will feel like and what it will be like. So Bristol, they're a good side during the Championship. They could go on a run to get themselves promoted. But, you know, it's Man City playing against anyone on planet Earth, so the other team matters to a certain extent. But if City do what they do to their potential, then it doesn't matter how long a run it's going to be, ends today.
When we were speaking to Paul Dickoff at the weekend, Esme, he played under Nigel Pearson for a few years, and he believed that Nigel Pearson will go into this trying to put the mindset into the players that you can beat this team, you can beat them, we will win this team. How difficult is that, though, as a player? How will their mindset be? Because they are coming up against the Premier League champions. So what do you imagine the Bristol City players will be sort of thinking?
I think they'd see it as a potential huge day for them, because for me, if you're in that position where mid-table Championship, you're playing against Manchester City Premier League champions, there's absolutely no expectation on you to get a result. So as a player, I'm thinking we could surprise everyone here, and what's the point in worrying, because everyone's expecting us to get battered anyway. There's no point concerning ourselves with that. So let's go out and try and make it into a scrap and see what we can take from them. And I think it wouldn't necessarily be trying to play the prettiest football. I think Paul's probably right with what he thinks Nigel Pearson will do in terms of just getting them to try and play without fear and just battle with City as long throughout the game as they can and see if they can nick something, because I suppose in a cup knockout games you never know what's possible, and I just think there's no need for them to have any fear coming into this.
Yeah, and I imagine there'll be an incredible atmosphere at Ashton Gate tonight as well. In terms of some of the standout players, Nedum, you've got Alex Scott, the teenager, who's probably been their standout player this season. He's attracting attention, as what seems to always happen with a lot of Premier League clubs.
Yes.
Not sure if he'll be at Bristol City next year, but have you seen him much? How do you rate him?
I haven't seen him much at all now, I'll be honest. I've not been tracking Bristol City in the Championship that much, with all due respect to them. But they're a good side. But I think to sort of add on to what Esme was saying about this game itself, having played the underdog in some games like this, so there are reasons why some of those players are playing in the Football League. Some of them will be able to play at the highest level. Some of them might be playing too high now. Some people might be at that particular level. But in times like this where you're a heavy underdog, certain individual things kick in. So Naki Wells is a good player for the Football League, and he scored 11 goals already this season.
Yeah, he scored the winner for them at the weekend.
So for him, he would have seen City concede at the weekend. He'll be thinking, I bet I can score against them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got Callas playing at the back, who I think he came through Chelsea's academy. He'll be thinking, oh, it's a good chance for me to go up against the World Cup when I think I can stop him. Someone will be, I think is it Daniel? It's not Daniel James. It's the James that was at United, though, I think. He'll be thinking, oh, I can do a job here against Kevin De Bruyne. So the team aspect disappears in a way it normally would exist on a, say, Saturday in the league, but the individual test now arrives. So it makes for like a really good occasion, but all this is well and good until all of a sudden you've not seen the ball for 10 minutes and you can't figure out exactly how to make a change to sort of bring yourselves back in with the game. But for them, you know, like some people think teams are happy to just sit off and not have the ball. Like, these are professional footballers, they want the ball at their feet. You spend training sessions with the ball at your feet trying to score goals. So this might not be what they want to see, but individually they're going to do their absolute best. But like I say, if City perform anywhere near the best, then the test that Bristol City will have now will be unlike any that most of these guys have had throughout their careers. So yeah, the individuals do come in. The player you mentioned, was it Scott, did you say?
Yes.
You know, he's attracting interest and stuff, but even if he was to get signed, he's still not at the level of what we're going to see from Man City today. It'll be a good test for him, but it's a big test nonetheless.
I think what you alluded to with sort of the individual hopes is exactly what City will be trying to cut out. Sort of first 5 or 10 minutes, kill their enthusiasm with passes, just hide the ball away from them, because when you are just chasing and you're out of breath and they switch the play again and you think, oh, we're shifting again, it can be so demoralising. We had it a couple of years ago with Barcelona, and by that point, when you're so exhausted that you actually do win the ball back, you can't keep it because everyone's just trying to sort of recover. So I think that's exactly what City's game plan will be, to try and just take away any sort of upbeat enthusiasm they've got early on and try and take the wind out of their sails.
They've only conceded 1 goal in the last 4 at home. It'll be a sellout crowd tonight. It'll be one of the biggest games that a lot of their fans have seen in years. How does the atmosphere in a game like this help or hinder? Is there any additional pressure?
I don't think so. As I say, I think the fans won't really have any expectations. They'll just see it as, God, imagine if we get something today, what a major scalp that'll be. But I think it's similar with the supporters as it is with the players. They'll have so much enthusiasm for the first 5 or 10 minutes, sort of dreaming of the possibility of beating City. But I think when it comes to it, if City do keep the ball for 10, 15 minutes for the vast majority of it, and then get an early goal, for example, the same enthusiasm that the players have will be reflected in the crowd, and it'll just be like popping a balloon quite early on. So I think it'll be just a reflection of what they feel on the pitch. Yeah,
I think that's a good point. And also, so my sister went to university in Bristol, and lots of her friends are going to this game today. And she was like, I don't know why they're going, because they're just going to get battered. And I said, well, maybe, but some of those guys might be going just to get a chance for their team to score a goal, because maybe that's the thing they'll celebrate the most. I think people go to games for so many different reasons, and at times we forget that. So even for the game today, some people might think the team's going to win, some might think the team's going to get battered, some people might think the team's potentially just going to lose or whatever, but 1,000,001 different reasons. But you go there in hope, and I think the key thing for me is for City to not offer encouragement. You know, move the ball on the way that they do, but be clinical, score some goals, and then at that point, you know, you're managing the game instead of always looking at the clock and wondering, what happens if they score now? Does that completely affect the tie? Or is it a case of this, in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't matter because we've done what we needed to do before this point?
Yeah, I imagine some people are going to watch it just to see Kevin De Bruyne in real life as well, or just to see how tall Erling Haaland really is.
Exactly, yeah.
You never know. By the way, did you know how many times you've played Bristol City in your career?
Well, I never really wanted to because they were in the Championship, but I'm going to say 6 or 7.
7?
7.
7 times. 6 for QPR, once for City. You've won 3 of them, drawn 2 and lost 2.
Yeah.
The City,
I was captain once, though. I was captain for City at for the League Cup under Sven-Göran Eriksson. That was my first time as captain for City, and we won that. That was good.
Was that 07-08?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
So did you know in that game, there's a memorable thing from that game?
Oh, right, I thought it was me captain. I guess not then. Oh, my word.
Top of my list.
All right, OK, go on.
We won 2-1.
Yep.
You were captain. And the third thing, recovering this, Paul Dickoff's last ever appearance for City.
Really?
Did you know that?
Right,
he's a lucky boy, you know.
Take your crown off then.
Knock off. It's not about me anymore at all, is it? It's not about me.
So it's always about you, Nedum.
Nah,
it's always
it's not.
about
When you're on the show and I'm on the show, it's never about me. It's never about me.
Well, you might never have got to be captain if Paul hadn't scored that goal. It all comes back to him. So
but he might not have made it to the final if I wasn't ball boying for him that season as well. Think of it that way. I threw the ball on quickly earlier in the season so we could make it to the playoffs.
So we scored, right.
Told
you. Go.
So it all comes back to you.
Always comes back to me. Always comes back to me.
Thank you. You know we love having you. So this isn't the only game for City today. A little bit earlier on today, our EDS played in the UEFA Youth League, our under-19s. They played the Croatian team Hajduk Split. And here are the thoughts of Brian Barry Murphy after the agonising 2-1 defeat, a game really in which the EDS dominated.
Brian, it's obviously a frustrating result and not what we wanted, but what's your takeaway straight after the game here in Split?
I think it's obviously very disappointing end outcome for the players, but they gave absolutely everything, and we created a host of chances, just didn't actually take them on the day. And I suppose at this level of competition, I suppose the beauty or pain of it from our point of view is that other teams will get a chance, and Split firstly took their 2 chances from what they had, and then we were left chasing the game. So a valuable learning experience for our players, and obviously not a nice feeling in this moment.
And obviously not only the 11 players we had to face today, it was an incredible atmosphere here with the fans and the noise that they created. And again, in terms of long-term lessons for those young lads, they'll have gained so much from this experience, won't they?
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant experience. All credit to Split. You know, they came out in their numbers and created a great atmosphere for the young players and supported them with every single attack. And that was amazing for our players to have to deal with that, and I suppose deal with different things in the game as it went on, in terms of I suppose taking time out of the game and chasing against a team who were defending their box with the whole team. So I suppose we face that a lot at home, but we don't, I suppose, faced the I suppose the extra conditions of the crowd and the arena that we were in. So it was brilliant for our players, and I was very proud of them in terms of the way they behaved and the way they conducted themselves right till the end. And we were pushing right till the end and created really good chances, you know, that on another day we take normally in our sleep, but today we didn't take them, and as such the consequences in this competition are you're out. So I think that's what we want. So when it happens, it doesn't feel nice, but I think it's really important for our players and myself to experience that.
And is that the ultimate takeaway from this competition when you get to the knockout stages where it's a one-off game? I mean, if you don't take those chances, it can prove costly, can't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think last season we didn't manage to navigate the group stages, so the lads have made great progress this season. Their style of play in this competition has been amazing, and they earned the right to take us into this knockout stages. So with that came an expectation that we could progress, and we were very confident we would. And the performance was exceptional for large parts, and we created really good chances. So I can't ask any more for them in terms of what they can do. I just have to educate them what it feels like to go through this pain and learn from it and improve the next time.
Yeah.
So that was the reaction from Bryan Barry Murphy, our EDS manager. The side were beaten today in the UEFA Youth League, but it was the first time that they've reached the knockout stages since 17-18, so still a great achievement. We're going to talk now to Ali Mann, who was commentating on that frustrating game. Good evening, Ali.
Hello, Natalie. How are you?
We're well. Lovely to hear your voice in the studio. So, Ali, it was a disappointing result. Just tell us, how good was the performance?
Do you know, there are ways to lose, and if you're going to lose in this manner, you can be proud of your performance, because they played really well. They dictated the game. They lost 2 goals on the counter-attack around about the 24th and 33rd minute, and then after that, the game belonged to them, and they just sat back, sat deep. Hajduk split, even though they were the home side. City took the game to them, scored once, couldn't score the precious equaliser that would have taken it straight to penalties. I don't know, I mean, the guys in the studio will know better than me, but is it better to lose unluckily or better to get a good hammering? I suspect it's probably better to lose unluckily when you know you've played as well as you could. It was about taking chances. They had 2 attempts on target, scored from them both. And I guess that kind of says everything about the match. But one thing I will say is it was a fantastic experience for them, because the crowd was really big and really hostile. And with respect to the crowds that they play with normally at the EDS, that would have been a fantastic experience for them. It was hostile. The whole atmosphere was you could see the delirium when they scored. It was extraordinary. The whole coaching staff poured onto the side of the pitch. The substitutes joined in, and it was just a great performance, except they couldn't apply the finish to get that equaliser. And I really felt for them, I did.
How important a lesson do you think this will be for them tonight, Ali? How much will they learn and take forward?
At the moment, they'll be hurting, but I think in the cold light of day, when they analyse it, and I'm sure they will with Bryan Barry Murphy, he'll take more positives than negatives. I mean, you're talking about lads who are 16, and they'll get at least 2 more UEFA Youth League campaigns before they hang up the ability to qualify for that league. And the other thing that's worth bearing in mind, and I think it's an important thing, is that it's an under-19 competition, and the EDS play is an under-21 league, so there's 2 or 3 players who are too old to play in the under-19 in the UEFA Youth League, whereas Hajduk Split play in an under-19 league, so they literally had the same players that they had at the weekend, which is a huge advantage. So I hope they take away a lot of positives. At the moment, it'll be a really dejected group of lads, and that's understandable. But to have gone into that hostile atmosphere, been unlucky not to have taken them to at least the penalty shootout, and they had a man sent off late on as well, City, and still at no stage did you think they were out of the contest. I hope they take lots of positives, but it's easy for me to say that. They'll probably be licking their wounds this evening. They really will.
Ali, were there any individual performances that stood out to you today?
There were a few. I'll be honest, there were a few. There's something about the wingers that City keep producing. I mean, they've always had this tradition of having wide players from the academy. And Carlos Borges continues to open up defences down the left-hand side. And he set up the goal for Oscar Bob, who's a wonderful technician. And then on the right side, they had Mabuda, who, again, that was had the fullback every time, was getting beyond him, getting to the byline, putting balls into the box. And yet, on top of that, they were dictating from the midfield. You know, Shea Charles is a first-team player in waiting. I've no doubt about that. He's a holding midfielder, sits nice and deep. He's a sort of Rodri-esque type player. You know, he's called up by Northern Ireland on a regular basis, so he's got. You know, he's only 19, but he's got experience as well. I like the way he dictated the play today. I don't really like, highlighting individuals when the team was so good, but they were the ones I think can take the most positives away from this competition. And the frustrating thing is, Nedum, that they'll go away knowing that they could have gone all the way in this competition, because the teams that they've beaten already along the way, one of them Dortmund, who they would have met in the quarter-final, so they beat home and away, so they'll be kicking themselves thinking, oh, if only, but that is just unfortunately what it is with a one-off knockout game.
So attention now turns to the PL2 on Friday. We've got West Ham. City still top of the league there, Ali. So how important is it that we bounce straight back with the win?
It is important, and I think they will. I think they will bounce back with a win. Again, I mentioned this age thing, and they'll change 3 or 4 at least, I would have thought, from tonight, from this afternoon rather, to Friday night. And so the reality is that there'll be 3 or 4 new faces who come back into the side. Not that makes a big difference in terms of the quality, because there's quality throughout the academy, but it'll give them the more stable lineup that they're used to in Premier League 2. And I think they will win on Friday night, or at least they'll get a positive result there. They've won 8 and drawn 2 of the last 10. They're unbeaten on that run. They're very strong. They've got great balance in the side, and I think Brian Barry Murphy is very good at picking them up after knocks, and they've done it many times already this season, and I'm sure they'll do it again.
Thank you so much, Ali. Go and have a quick drink. You've got 20 minutes.
Thank
20
you.
minutes till Ali will be giving us full match commentary of tonight's game against Bristol City. And in a strange turn of events, our women's team also took on Bristol City in the FA Cup with a phenomenal 8-1 victory. Wow. Goals coming from all over the pitch, but specifically another four for Bunny Shaw, taking her total to 21 goals in 20 games. Esme, what did you make of the game?
Didn't actually get to watch it, but I've seen all the highlights back, and obviously been in training with the girls today, so they're all buzzing from it, really. I think those games are fun because we dominated from the very start and could really just play our style of play with a lot of fluidity and freedom. And when you're creating chances and Bunny's on the end of it, the chances are she's going to score. And I really like this finish, how she just guided it over the goalkeeper. This next goal from Philippa Angeldahl, who I think has been our player of 2023. She's been so good.
Oh, I think
is this Bunny's?
Just Bunny's, yes.
Right. We need to show Philippa's goal, because what a strike. But yeah, Bunny's just unplayable. I was 1v1 against her today in training in the small-sided games, and she just pins you, and I have to kind of keep her at arm's length, because the minute she gets her arms around you and uses her body to shift you off, there's no defending her. She's just so powerful, and her finishing this season has been outstanding as well, as you can see from those goals.
She really is having a phenomenal season, Nedum, isn't she?
Yeah, she is, yeah. How many goals did you say? 20?
21 in 20.
It's all right.
Oh, she's number 21. That's quite apt, really.
No, don't say that, because that means she should stop more.
No, she needs to move
she should stop now. No.
Give her number 40, Nick.
Yeah, let's double out. Yeah, she's been incredible. It's great that City have sort of her doing that. They've got Haaland doing what they're doing. This is the place to come when you want to see some top goal scorers all across the board.
We've got Philippa's goal.
Oh, fabulous.
Let's have a look.
This is what happens.
Right.
She's such a big deal.
Yeah.
You get a clip cut for her, just like that.
Straight like that.
Wow.
Esme.
I mean, Chloe put in a cross and just came to the edge, and just watch and admire.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
On the half volley. She's honestly been so good since the Christmas break. She's had a run in the team, which she's potentially not had since she signed at the start of last summer. But she's got so much confidence, and she's starting Swedish international. We all knew what quality she had, and now she's got a run of games and is just brimming with confidence. You can see that in her performances, and yeah, what a strike.
we've been talking about the business end of the season for the men's team, but in terms of players coming into incredible form for the women's team at the business end of the season as well. You mentioned Philippa there. Obviously, you got Lauren Ham. Chloe Kelly had an incredible time at playing for England again. A lot of players hitting form at a lovely time.
Yeah, we're in a really, really good place at the minute. We've got such high spirits within the team, and we really, really believe we can kind of claw back the gap and go on to win the league this year. And we've got a lot of confidence in that. And as you say, we've got so many top quality players who are hitting form that we can rely on to pull out some big moments. Now we're coming into the biggest, most pressurised games of the season. And as you say, Chloe did so well on international camp, getting the golden boot at the Arnold Clark Cup, that having her and Lauren on the wings feeding Bunny is a frightening prospect for any team we're going to come up against. So it's a really exciting time looking over to the next few months.
And Esme Morgan's back as well this weekend.
And Esme Morgan's back, absolutely.
I'm not sure that'll have opposition teams quaking in the boots as much as Lauren and Chloe, but
you never know.
I mean, I like to try and feed those sorts of players, so beware.
Yeah.
You know this is the Defenders fan club tonight, so it's really important that Esme Morgan is back. I love hearing you say that, though, because I've kind of remained all season looking at the table, kind of quietly confident, hoping for the Champions League place, but now saying you that you all believe you can claw back. I mean, it's a 3-point gap on Manchester United. We've still got to play them again, so I love that.
I think we've gone quite under the radar because we sort of lost our first 2 games. There was a lot of talk about how we'd flopped and how maybe we were going to be out of the running even for Champions League. Some people saying it would just be Chelsea, United and Arsenal all the way, but we've gone on a long unbeaten run now and have gradually closed the gap. And if we beat Chelsea, Arsenal and United in the games we've got to play, then we'll take ourselves just behind Chelsea. So it really is just going to be a case of easier said than done, but applying ourselves and winning every game from now until the end of the season. But as I say, we've got such a togetherness and such a great atmosphere in the group that we really, really believe we can do that. And I'm excited to see what we can come up with come the end of the season.
My stomach jumped there when you were talking. I got really excited. I love hearing about that team spirit. In terms of in the FA Cup, obviously we were runners-up last year. We love a cup competition. Drawn last night against Villa. What do you make of the draw?
It's a tough draw. I think Villa are a really strong team, to be honest. I think they're pushing the top 4 all the way, and I could see them being one of the teams that has a say in the title race in terms of taking points off the top clubs. We've lost and drawn to them this season, so hopefully we can turn that record right and beat them in the FA Cup, but it'll definitely be a tough challenge, particularly away from home.
I know you're a big fan of the WSL as well, aren't you, Nedum? You watch quite a lot of it. Hugely competitive this season.
Yeah, it certainly is. The thing that surprised me the most in recent times is sort of Arsenal's semi-falling off. I wasn't really expecting that as such, but this is how competitive it is. And it's always good to see City just climbing up the rankings. Also a bit annoyed to see United close to the top, but, you know, that's...
We can try and deal with that before the end
please
of the
deal with that.
season.
Please deal with that. But it is very competitive up there. And the fact that it's sort of like 4 teams or 5 teams for 3 slots for the Champions League, that's tough, but it means every game is huge. The moment you see like one team slipped up, can the other team capitalise? It's very, very dramatic, and it's good. It's a good thing to watch. Obviously, watch Man City's games first, but then if you're going to watch other ones, you should probably get involved.
I love that. I love hearing Esme as well say we're going to deal with them.
I honestly hope they do. I honestly do.
Love that. Do keep your WhatsApp questions coming in if you'd like to ask our guests anything at all. You are very, very welcome to do so. And don't forget to get the Man City app downloaded in lots of time so that you can get Alistair Mann and Michael Brown's excellent commentary of tonight's game. So we mentioned at the start of the show, I never like to say... I don't want to be accused of jinxing things. I didn't at the weekend.
Oh, whatever you're going to say,
got the camera.
I said it.
Get it off. Get it off. Show's over. Alistair, start comms.
It's fine because on Saturday I told everybody at the start of the show that we'd beaten Bournemouth 11 times. I was nervous.
So is that an exception or is that the rule, though?
That is now the rule, that I am not a jinx because we beat them 12 times.
Nice. So from the weekend, we're fine.
We're fine. We're safe. And plus, I've already said it, Nedum. I've already said it. We've won 10 in a row away from home in the FA Cup, which is a record.
I wasn't listening, though, so I don't think it was going to count.
So that run stretches all the way back to February 2019, the longest away winning run by a team in the history of the FA Cup. Very impressive, I think, Esme. Does that make you nervous, or...?
A little bit. You sort of think, oh, don't let today be the day we mess it up. But no, I think we've been putting in some good performances, particularly in the first half of games. We've kind of been inconsistent across games, but there have been flashes of us being back to our best, and we certainly looked that way against Bournemouth. So I'm hopeful with players coming into form and being at the sharpest that we'll be able to have a comfortable win today and extend that run.
We've played lower league teams a lot in those away games as well. Swindon in the third round, which Cole Palmer scored in, which I think we're going to see. When you play lower league teams, does it take... I think it's impressive to not slip up, Nathan.
It depends. I think when you play against Swindon are known for being a pretty good football inside. That's one of the principles of just the way the football clubs run. That's you can see by the fact the pitch is in good condition. Whereas there are other places you go to where football isn't the biggest deal, so the field itself will look like you're going to be growing potatoes in it as opposed to rolling the football around. And I think those are the more dangerous ones where the wind's howling in, you can't really make many passes and so on, and they try and turn the game into just a game of head tennis as opposed to just going out and playing total football. But to go away from home to manage that feeling of being a heavy favourite, it's not the easiest thing in the world. Obviously, you're still expected to win. But there's other stuff that comes into it which makes a big difference, especially as time's passing. And they'd say the scores are tied, and there's 15 minutes to go. That's the most nervous I probably ever was in cup games, is when you're away to a team that's in a lower division and you weren't winning with 10, 15 to go, because you know that if they score, that might be everything. Yeah. Because the crowd are not going to, say you can't time waste. They're going to be the ones time wasting. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that rather is, they're in control of how long the game will go on for from the moment they take the lead, because they'll be applying pressure to the referee in a different way to get the whistle done. Their players will be falling over. Ref will think it's a foul because you've got 10, 15,000 people asking for it. And that's not a position you want to be in, where it feels like everyone in the arena is against you at a time when you need it more than ever.
Yeah, well, thankfully last season at Swindon we didn't get in that position. And then we played Peterborough in the 5th round, again away from home. We won that 2-0, and it was a goal from Jack Grealish, Esme, which I remember at the time just thinking, and it's the first I've seen it, we think it was great, and it was.
Yeah, and I think that was so important for him, because last season he was obviously struggling a little bit to settle in, and it just felt like such a huge pivotal moment in his career in just terms of breaking that sort of barrier, even mentally, and getting that goal. And what a touch.
Oh, my
He took
word.
it on the full that time.
He's changed now, yeah. He's grown out of this.
Yeah.
He's definitely grown out of it now, yeah. He's doing it far more complex now.
If it was this season, he'd have trapped it.
Yeah.
But lovely finish.
Do you know, it's a good point, that. And I think if it was this season, it'd probably look... That looks nice, but imagine he takes that half volley outside of his foot.
Yeah.
Expect that today.
OK, I'm going to be looking out for that now. That's it, everybody. Spot the half volley from Jack Grealish. Another goal, just to quickly look at as well, in the quarter-final last year, we played away at Southampton. We won that 1-4-1. Lots of away games in the Cup last year. Have a little look at this goal from Phil Foden. There he is.
Bang. Have that.
Oh, Lord.
That'll
lovely
do.
few goals we've seen here.
That'll do. Yeah, that's not too bad a strike, is it?
That was lovely interplay in the build-up to it. Nice little triangles, classic Pep ball.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Then was there a little bit of a...
Bit of a misplaced, but no bother.
Yeah, I'll just put that in the corner. Just send the ball to its home. It's nice. We've got some good memories of City in the Cups, to be honest. And long may that continue for a few more games this year.
Yes, please, so that
Wembley,
so that Nedum doesn't say that I jinxed City by saying that it's 10 in a row away from home in the FA Cup. So we've got less than 8 minutes now until kick-off, 8 p.m. kick-off tonight. Bristol City in the 5th round of the FA Cup. Your starting 11 you can see on your screen there is Ortega, Lewis, Akanji, Diaz, Ake, Phillips, De Bruyne, Silva, Mahrez, Foden and Alvarez. So not long now until kick-off. Esme, how are you feeling overall about the game tonight?
I'm looking forward to it. You've worried me a bit with the jinx comment, but...
This is what she's like. Every time I come in here and I see you now, it's like, well, there's going to be a moment where you feel really uncomfortable.
You had a reputation for jinxing.
Notorious.
But, oh, gosh,
Tries to find the most awkward stats you can find to make you feel uneasy for 90 minutes.
Oh,
That's
no.
mad.
But no, Saturday was fine. It's fine. It's
yeah,
gone.
no, we've broken the curse. It's fine.
Yep.
No, I'm feeling really confident. I think we've got a lot of players in the starting 11 who've been looking really sharp recently, and I'm excited to see Kev back. I just think he's just got a fear factor about him, and I just love watching him drive forward with the ball and play those lovely passes in behind that he does, and I can see Foden getting on the end of one of them today and maybe bagging a goal or two.
Any worries at all, Nedum?
Worries? Just worried about what you're going to say next, jinx-wise. But aside from that, no, it should be a good game, and I'm interested to see as well the link-up between, say, Kevin and Alvarez as well. Because we've seen it, him and Haaland. So let's see when Alvarez makes those runs now, when Kevin's looking for him all the time. Then that could be very prosperous for them today.
So give me your score prediction, please.
Why do you do this? Why do you do this? You know
Just to make you uncomfortable again?
So I think City will score 3 goals. And out of respect for other professionals, I think Bristol will score 1. I always want to say a clean sheet, but I just feel I can't. Because the other team, you know.
How many did you say for City?
3-1.
3-1.
We'll go 3-1, yeah.
Esme?
I do think we're going to keep a clean sheet. I just think Ortega's shot stopping is outstanding, and I'm going to go 4-0. I'd love an 8-1 though to match our score.
Oh yeah,
that'd be quite cool.
For Alvarez, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, we'd take it, wouldn't we? But let's not ask for too much.
Yes.
4-0 will do.
I would just like win with at least a 2-goal. So that I can just...
So you're at ease, that's 3-1.
So that I'm at ease, so that I can breathe at the end of the game.
That's the 3-1, you see what I mean? It's psychological.
Yes, OK, and not be biting down my nails.
Exactly.
No, but Nat's on the defender's side now, so you need to back
she's
a
not,
clean
she's
sheet.
not.
Clean sheet.
She's not.
Clean sheet.
Defenders all the way.
She's not.
Defenders all the way.
Trust me, she's
Defenders
not.
all the way. Esme, thank you. Nedum, thank you so much. We will, of course, be back at half-time talking about everything that's happening in that first 45. And then we'll be back at full-time as well for all of the full-time reactions. It's now time to hand over to the wonderful Alistair Mann and brilliant Michael Brown to get your full match commentary for this FA Cup game, where hopefully City are going to make it 11 away wins in the FA Cup in a row. Enjoy the game, Blues. We'll see you at half-time.
Welcome to Ashton Gate, where the noise is quite brilliant. The